Hey, what the hell is happening with your face? It's quite remarkable because it's your face and it looks good. And when you go off to Face Village to face your face, it'll be faced like they used to do at Jewel. That's a term that only people in who worked at Jewel or who worked in retail where they had shelves. You know what facing shelves is? If you don't know what facing shelves is, then you haven't worked in retail, department stores or grocery stores or anything like that, because facing a shelf is where you take the items and you pull them to the edge of the shelf. 2 items. Pull them to the edge of the shelf so it looks like all the shelves are full. Yeah. You would do that for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a night sometimes when you worked at the Jewels. I did it. When I first started working at the Jewels, I was a facer, which means I took 2 items and pulled them to the edge of the shelf in the effort to make the illusion seem like the shelves were full. This was a very important job in grocery stores that they still do to this day. It's usually done by the overnight crew, the people who work overnight. They face all the shelves. So when you walk in, you go, wow, look at how full these shelves are. These shelves are full. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how much stock they have here. And then you walk up to the counter, to the shelf, and you take the item off, and you pull them down, and everything behind it is completely fucking empty. The illusion is shattered. One thing. Look, I need some eye drops. Take them off the shelf, and you can see right behind in that little hole that you just made that the entire shelf behind it, 3.5 feet deep, empty. It's all a facade. It's all a lie, because it's all lies, man. Everything in the world is a lie. Facing at the Jewels, pull the items up to trick the customer into thinking that you have full shelves and that we're okay and that there's no stockade and that there's no problems in the world and that the supply chain is fine and we're never going to run out of baby formula and toilet paper because you pulled them to the edge of the shelf and you made it look like the shelves were fucking full and everybody will be happy. And then they take one item off and you look and all the shelves are empty and we're all going to die. But for about 2 seconds, because of facing the items to the edge of the shelf, you thought we were okay. You thought there were plenty of groceries and plenty of supplies, that the shelves were full in the grocery stores and the department stores, and everything was okay. But no, we're fucked. It's all a joke. It's all pulled to the front to make it look like the shelves are full, but they're not full. We're all gonna fucking die. If not for facing, we would have to actually face that reality. Hi. How are you? My name's Nick. I used to work at the Jewels, where I would face stuff to the edge of the shelf to trick you into thinking that the shelves were full. It's a common practice to lull us into a comforting sleep so that we don't question anything. Oh, the shelves are full, everything is okay, even though there's nothing in the grocery stores and we're all gonna fucking die and starve. Hi. That's not what I was going to talk about. I have no idea how that happened. I'm a lunatic. My name is Nick Digilio. Thank you for checking out my Facebook page. There are plenty of videos here, over 170 some videos. They go back almost a year. Scroll down, check them out, like, share, all that shit you're supposed to do. More importantly, all these videos that I do for free, and I hope to entertain you and inform you. Hey, you just learned about facing and the historical importance of fucking lying to your customers. Anyway, go to patreon.com right now as we speak and donate money. Don't be a dick. Do that. It would help out a lot. If you're watching this without donating, it's like watching PBS without making a donation. And you know what? You get a tote bag if you donate to my Patreon page in the form of extra videos, including behind-the-scenes stories of what really happened at the worst radio station on the planet right now, WGN. Get that story, but you have to donate. Pick a tier. $3 a month is the least you can do. $3 a month. It's a Gatorade and a Snickers bar. You can afford that. Patreon.com/NickDShow. You go there right now and you donate. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate. Thank you. So I review a lot of movies, and I have a podcast that's also free, which is another reason why you should go to Patreon and donate, because I do that twice a week, full on, for free. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate now. Anyway, I review a lot of movies, and I went to see a screening, a press screening last night of this movie called Beast with Stringer Bell, or Idris Elba, but Stringer Bell from The Wire. And it's a great fucking movie. I'll give you a full review on my podcast actually this Friday. We'll give a full review of it, and I'll cut a video on it soon. But I had a couple hours to kill. I was downtown. I had a couple hours to kill before the screening of Stringer Bell Punches Lions in the Mouth. And so I was like, well, there's a movie I can see for a couple hours, and I'll go. So I went to go see Mack and Rita. Okay, so Mack and Rita is this new movie that stars what I don't even know who this girl is. Her name is Elizabeth Lail. Elizabeth Lail, Lail. I have no idea who she is or what she's been in. And after seeing this movie, I still don't want to know what she's been in or what the fuck she's done because she's awful. Anyway, this Mack and Rita movie, it stars her. And she plays a 30-year-old who is an old soul, used to hang out with her grandmother, and really wants to be old. She likes older people. She doesn't like going out and partying with her younger friends. Her best friend is getting married, and they're having the bachelorette party, and there's a scene where they talk about how Bad Bunny is going to play some concert, and she doesn't want to go. She wants to eat cinnamon rolls with old ladies, and she wants to be old. So she ends up going into this hypnotherapy tent that's set up on the beach, run by Simon Rex, who must have lost a fucking bet to be in this movie. Or clearly he made this movie before the success of Red Rocket last year, clearly. Anyway, and she goes in and she wishes that she could be old, and she comes out, instead of being the 30-year-old Jennifer Lail, she's now Diane Keaton, 70-year-old old-ass Diane Keaton, and wackiness ensues. So it's about this girl who's a writer. She wants to be a more successful writer, but she's trying to deal with all these young people and deal with the world that we're in right now with the influencers and the social media and the Instagrams and all that bullshit that we all have to deal with, which I'm doing right now, ironically enough. Patreon.com, donate now. Anyway, so she's now 70 in the body of Diane Keaton, and all wackiness ensues. Nobody really knows it's her, and she hangs out with older people and blah, blah, blah. So it's basically a body switch movie. But it's not really a body switch movie. It's a body something I wish I was older body switch. But it all falls under the guise of the umbrella of the body switch movie. And it's fucking awful. It is truly one of the worst movies I've seen. And it's absolutely maybe the worst movie I've seen all year. This is Mack and Rita, the wacky, I wish I was old so I become old body swap movie with Diane Keaton running around. The most embarrassing performance that Diane Keaton has ever given. Without question. I mean, I love Diane Keaton. She's one of my favorite actresses. The last 15 years, she's been coasting and doing a lot of stupid shit that she doesn't have to do. It's really not necessary for her to do this. She's got money. She's good. She can just, stay home or maybe do stage. She doesn't have to do shit like this. And this is the worst. This movie it barely qualifies as a movie. It's a series of really stupid things. And Diane Keaton, it's embarrassing how bad she is in this movie. I mean, embarrassing. Like, there were scenes when I was like, stop, please, just stop. I wanted to run up to the projection booth and just turn it off because I couldn't stand to watch Diane Keaton, who is an actress that I love, who has given performances over the years that I adore, who I think is incredibly smart, incredibly funny, unbelievably attractive, and beautiful, and an incredibly talented actress who has blessed us with performances over the years that are just amazing. And I love Diane Keaton, and it was painful to watch. Like, I felt physical pain watching how fucking bad this movie is, how embarrassing her performance is, and all the stupid, dumb, body-swapping switch bullshit that she had to do in this movie. It's embarrassing. It's a terrible movie on every level. Barely qualifies as a movie. But the worst part of it is to watch Diane Keaton do the absolute worst stuff that she's ever done on screen ever. I mean, it's horrible. And this is Diane Keaton. I mean, while I was watching it, I was like, God, I gotta go home and I gotta watch Reds. I have to watch, let's watch Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Shoot the Moon. For Christ's sake, let's go back and watch this stuff. Hell, I'll even take Annie Hall, and Woody Allen's a piece of shit. He's a fucking piece of shit, talentless piece of shit. But I'll take Annie Hall over this. Mrs. Soulful, like really good, when she's a great actress. But like Reds, Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Shoot the Moon. That's the triple bill right there that I really needed to watch, after seeing this movie. So anyway, Mack and Rita, awful movie. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, but the worst movie I've seen all year. And the most embarrassing and awful performance that Diane Keaton's ever given. The only good thing in the movie is Simon Rex. He's in it for about 30 seconds. And he even succumbs to the shit writing. Everything about this movie, it's barely directed by an actress. I don't even know who, she's an actress, been in some stuff. And Wendy Malick and some other actresses that are kind of well known show up as the old ladies in this movie. It's embarrassing on every level. One of the worst movies ever. The worst thing that Diane Keaton has done. The most embarrassing thing that Diane Keaton has ever done. So that got me to thinking about body switch movies, and I was like, and again, it not necessarily technically following all the rules by we are going to actually switch bodies, but like bodies being switched or people being changed in some way, trapped inside another body or trapped in the facade of an older or younger body. So body switch movies covers all that. And in the 80s, they were fucking huge. I don't know if you remember this, and that's what this video is about. The return of the body switch, body swap movies. Especially the ones in the 80s. They were hugely popular, and for some reason, every other week, for about 5-6 years straight, there was a goddamn body switch or body change movie. And most of them suck. There are very few body switch movies that do not suck ass. It's a really dumb idea that had a couple of moments here and there, but for the most part, the idea of doing a body swap movie at any time, and they still do them, they still make them, they make them all the time. It's fucking stupid, and people are fascinated by them. And it also gives an actor or an actress a challenge to play young or to play old or to imitate somebody else because they're in their body, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's fun, but for the most part, the body swap movie, specifically the body swap films of the 80s, are shit. And Mack and Rita completely reminded me of the body swap movies. So here are some body switch movies. One of the classics, and again, this goes way back. I mean, the body swapping thing, or the pretending to be someone you're not inside another person's body, however you want to do it, which gives the actor or actress a challenge to imitate or change or play older or play younger or do that kind of shit. It's usually an exercise for a self-conscious actor to try to do. For an egotistical actor or actress to say, I can do that, I can imitate this person, I can play old, I can play young. Yeah, fuck off, you can't, you're dumb. But they've been around forever, for years and years, and going way, way, way back. Then they still make them. But the big swing period of the body swap movies was the 80s. But let's go back and look it back. Okay, let's go. One of the classic ones is Freaky Friday, the original Freaky Friday. Jodie Foster was in that one, and then it was remade years later, 2003, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, back when the Lindsay Lohan was still amazing. And I like both of them. The original Freaky Friday doesn't hold up as well. The second one, the remake, where Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan switch bodies, mother and daughter switch bodies because they want to see how the other person lives. They don't get along, so they switch. But there's always a lesson to be learned in these dumbass body switch movies. So anyway, the second one, the remake, is terrific with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. They're both great in it. Lindsay Lohan becomes the mother, and Jamie Lee Curtis becomes the young girl and the rock musician and the teenager. And it's great to watch Lindsay Lohan do the work she does, and it's great to watch Jamie Lee Curtis. So Freaky Friday is one of the classic ones, especially the one from the 70s with Jodie Foster. One of the best body swap movies, again, it came out in the 80s, is All of Me, with Steve Martin and Lily Tomlin, where the spirit of Lily Tomlin gets into the body, but they mess up this voodoo ritual, and the spirit of Lily Tomlin gets into the body of Steve Martin. It's a great movie. This is probably the quintessential and the best example of the body swap, body switch genre movie. And Steve Martin is unbelievable in it, trying to control his body, trying to make his body do what he wants to do, even though he has no control over it. There are classic moments in that movie with Steve Martin trying to fight his own body and then pretending to be Lily Tomlin. Lily Tomlin, as you see, when he looks in a mirror, you see Lily Tomlin. But Lily Tomlin's personality and spirit gets into and takes over Steve Martin. And it's great. And it's mostly because of Steve Martin's incredible brilliant physical performance. So All of Me, that's a good one. All right, and then there were the body swap movies that came out within weeks of each other. Those would be Vice Versa and Like Father, Like Son, and they had the same exact plot. Like Vice Versa was Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold, and they play father and son, and they switch bodies for a day, and wackiness ensues. So Judge Reinhold acts like a 13-year-old, and Fred Savage acts like a 40-year-old. And the same thing happened in Like Father, Like Son, which was with Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron before he became an insane Christian, brigade-leading lunatic fuckhead who makes the worst possible movies ever. And by the way, Kirk Cameron, if you're watching this, if you're fans of Kirk Cameron. Anyway, so he and Dudley Moore, they switched bodies, and those movies were released like literally 3 weeks from each other. Vice Versa and Like Father, Like Son. If I remember correctly, Vice Versa was a little bit better. But that's like saying having your pinky cut off is a little bit better than having your thumb cut off, because they both suck. So those were classic. Then 18 Again, another one. Charlie Schlatter, who will go down in history as a forgotten asshole, but one of the most unbelievably annoying, rub you the wrong way, jag-off, prick, young, schmuck assholes in the history of movies. Charlie Schlatter. Here's how fucking terrible Charlie Schlatter is. He's so bad that he actually played the TV version of Ferris Bueller. So if you could think that there's a worse version of Ferris Bueller, of course, being the second worst movie ever made, and Ferris Bueller being the single most despicable character in the history of film, fuck that movie, fuck Ferris Bueller, fuck everything about that movie. But if you think that Matthew Broderick is horrible and horrendous, playing the most despicable, hateful, hateable character in the history of fucking movies, fuck Ferris Bueller. Anyway, this guy, Charlie Schlatter, actually played the TV version. So he was a level lower, if that's possible. So this jagoff played Ferris Bueller in the TV version of it, but he appeared in some other stuff. And 18 Again was him and George Burns. And George Burns, in the movie, I can't remember exactly, but like on his 90th birthday or something, he wishes he was young, and then Charlie Schlatter becomes George Burns, and they switch bodies or something. And George Burns, by the way, George Burns' character is in a coma for most of the movie. So you get to watch Charlie Schlatter, one of the most annoying motherfuckers in the history of movies, one of the most grating, look this motherfucker up. Look up Charlie Schlatter now. After you donate at Patreon, of course. Look up Charlie Schlatter and look at some of the shit that this guy's done. And look at just how much, within milliseconds, how much you want to punch this kid right in the mouth repeatedly. How much do you want to just take Charlie Schlatter and beat the shit out of him and throw him off a cliff somewhere? It takes about 30 seconds for you to go, wow, this is the most annoying jagoff in the history of anything. So anyway, for the rest of this movie, this 18 Again, you get to see the great Charlie Schlatter imitate George Burns all the way down to the cigar. So if your idea of entertainment is watching one of the most annoying, grating 80s teenage jagoffs in the history of television and movies to do a bad George Burns impression, then enjoy 18 Again. Big with Tom Hanks. Hey, I'm here to tell you, not a good movie. And in fact, Penny Marshall has never directed a good movie. She had never directed a good movie. They've got this new A League of Their Own TV series, which I won't watch. A League of Their Own, by the way, just want to let you know. That movie's a piece of shit. It's terrible. It's virtually unwatchable. Lots of talented people in it, completely wasted. A League of Their Own is a piece of shit. And on the list of worst baseball movies ever fucking made. And it has nothing to do, don't get all, sensitive and say, oh, it's because it's women. No. It's a bad movie. It's a terrible, terrible movie. Then it's, oh, you're misogynistic, you don't like women. No, I love women, and I love movies about women. It's just a bad movie, regardless of what the topic is. It's shit. And she made Big, which is also not a good movie, but it was carried by a good performance by Tom Hanks. Again, another body switch movie, kind of. He's like, oh, I want to be big. And he's big, but he's like a 10-year-old. I don't even fucking remember most of it. He jumps on the keyboards with Robert Loggia, and then he gets nominated for an Oscar. And then there's a weird thing he's 12, but he's gonna fuck Elizabeth Perkins. It's shit. Tom Hanks is quite fun in it. He has a good time, but the movie's bad. Another example of bad body swap movie from the 80s. Big, bad, sorry, learn. Switch. Blake Edwards jumps into it. This is Alan Barkin switches bodies with Perry King, who plays this this swinging guy who fucks a lot of women, misogynistic dude, and Ellen Barkin becomes this guy. So it is a misogynistic, womanizing asshole who hates women, stuck inside the body of Ellen Barkin. Now, I will say this. It's not a very good movie. Ellen Barkin's great in it. Ellen Barkin is great. It's a really great performance. So, the challenges of this genre where you get to play against type or play different age or play different sex, she knocks it out of the park. So, not a good movie, but Ellen Barkin is great in Blake Edwards' Switch. Dream a Little Dream from the 80s. Ooh. The two Corey Jagoffs, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. And Meredith Salinger, who was Natty Gann, and now she's married to Patton Oswalt. She's in it. And in it, get this, Jason fucking Robards and Piper Laurie are in it. And I don't know. I know what you're saying. I heard you. I heard you go, what? Jason Robards and Piper Laurie in a movie with the two Coreys in the 80s? Yeah, look it up. Dream a Little Dream, and it's as bad as you fucking think it is. So in it, Jason Robards and Piper Laurie play a couple. They wish they were younger, so suddenly they go into the body of Corey Feldman and Meredith Salinger. So it's a body switch movie, and Corey Haim plays the wacky sidekick in it. And there is a version of Rock On by Michael Damian. It's a cover of David X's Rock On. And in it, that's the first time that fucking Feldman started doing his Michael Jackson impersonation. He did that in the movie, and it is unbelievably bad and so 80s. Like, on every level, stylistically, the editing, the MTV style, the fact that the Coreys are, not considered a goddamn joke. Everything about it is so... it is one of the most quintessentially bad, stereotypical, cliched 80s movies ever. Dream a Little Dream. Awful. Let's see. Face Off, a classic John Woo movie. They kind of switch bodies. They switch faces. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, they switch faces. Great movie. And of course, the absurdity of the plot is not lost on John Woo, because the movie is absurd from the very first second all the way through its running time. It's a great movie. Ridiculous, but great, but acknowledges how ridiculous it is. The Hot Chick. Rob Schneider gets to pretend to be a hot chick, where he switches bodies with a hot chick. It's a Rob Schneider movie. So right there, it is shit. And then 17 Again, which is kind of the same thing as 18 Again, but this stars Zac Efron and Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry plays a guy who switches, like he becomes young and hunky. And this was the first movie where I kind of really liked Zac Efron. And Leslie Mann is in it. It's a stupid movie. Another Matthew Perry, older guy, becomes young, becomes Zac Efron. But that's the first movie where I realized that Zac Efron was really talented. Because at that time, he was just high school high Jagoff with his hair. But I'm a fan of Zac Efron. I really like Zac Efron. I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of talent. Also, he makes me question my sexuality every once in a while. I'll look at Zac Efron, I'll go, ooh. But anyway, 17 Again, not a great movie, fun to watch. It was the first movie where I realized that Zac Efron was good. And then there is The Change Up, and this movie's ridiculous. Leslie Mann's in this one too. The Change Up, this is Ryan Reynolds, who I hate. And fuck you and Deadpool. Stick your Deadpool movies up your ass. They suck. Sorry, but they do. It's a fact, not an opinion. The Deadpool movies suck. Ryan Reynolds is a jagoff. He was great in the movie Mississippi Grind, and he was great in Adventureland. Outside of that, he is a sack of shit and a blight on entertainment. Anyway, Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman play guys. One of them is single, fucking around. Like Ryan Reynolds is the single guy. Different chick every night, gets drunk, goes out. Jason Bateman's got the wife, the Leslie Mann, with the kids, and they piss in a fountain. And as they're peeing in the fountain, they make a wish to switch bodies, and they switch bodies so that the Jason Bateman character can now be a swinging single, and Ryan Reynolds' character is stuck with the wife. And they have to play that. The Change Up. Yeah. So I'll just move on, because I've described it, and that should be enough for you right there. They piss. They're pissing, and they switch bodies. And then there is Prelude to a Kiss, which is the only one of any of these bodies. And there are more. This is the last one I'm going to talk about. There are more. There are tons more. If you just Google body swap movies, you'll see a list from the 50s all the way through present day. And 90% of them are shit. But I wanted to close on a good one. Prelude to a Kiss is a terrific movie. A terrific movie. Written by Craig Lucas, based on his play. It's also a terrific play. And it is about a couple that meet, and as they meet, it's very new in the relationship. They meet in a bar, and they she's eccentric and he's a little bit weird. He's fascinated by her, and she wonders what it would be like to be old, which is kind of what this Mack and Rita thing is about. And she ends up like switching bodies with this old man. And they kiss and they switch bodies. And then the old man is inside the young woman. And this is right before they get married. The couple gets married and they go off on their honeymoon, and things start to act a little bit weird. Things start to be a little bit weird. The couple is played by Alec Baldwin and Meg Ryan. And they get married, and then she at the wedding, she kisses this old man who shows up, and he switches bodies with her. So now the old man is a young woman, and she is an old man. And it's told from the point of view of Alec Baldwin's character trying to deal with the fact that the girl that he just met, the girl that he marries, the girl that he loves, his soulmate, is completely different now. And it's about this old man inside this woman's body, young woman's body, trying to con everybody and to live the life. This guy was on the verge of death and live the life of a young person, even though it's a young woman. It's a beautiful movie, and it really does deal with those themes very well. Themes that Mack and Rita don't even touch on. It's like, oh, look at Diane Keaton. She's wearing funky, younger clothes, and she's trying to deal with Instagram, and she falls down a lot. Prelude to a Kiss is about aging. It's about getting old. It's about love. It's about life. It's about all that stuff. And also, it was shot in Chicago in the summer of 1991. I remember vividly when they were shooting it here. And it's really about a lot of things. It's also a film with an incredible gay subtext that really is explored as well. It's a beautiful movie. The playwright is great, very talented guy. Norman Renee directed it. He directed Longtime Companion. He would direct other really great stuff. Really sensitive, smart direction. Great performances by Alec Baldwin and Meg Ryan and everybody else who's in the movie. I love Prelude to a Kiss. It's the only body-swapping movie that has consequence, that really deals with things on a serious level, that really takes the subject matter to heart and really explores the kind of things that this stupid Mack and Rita movie and all these other body swap movies don't explore. Like, what are the consequences of wishing that you were older and wishing that you were younger? And how does that work thematically and symbolically? It's a great movie. It's a terrific movie. So of all the body swap movies, the only one to explore any of the interesting situations is Prelude to a Kiss, based on a great play and some of the best performances that any of these. Meg Ryan is great in it. She's fucking great in it. Alec Baldwin, who has to kind of play the straight guy, he's the core and the emotion of the movie. He's great in this movie. If you've not seen Prelude, and Chicago looks great, and the Green Mill is in it a bunch of times. Like, she works at the Green Mill. And they meet at the Green Mill. I can't tell you the amount of women that I've met at the Green Mill. Didn't turn out that way, though. But yeah, Chicago is a showcase. All the great neighborhoods, the city of Chicago, Green Mill. So if you're a Chicagoan, you'll like it. And if you like really smart, intelligent, thoughtful movies that actually have that body swap gimmick in it, you can't do better than Prelude to a Kiss. So we're back in the 80s now with Mack and what the fuck, Rita. We're back in the 80s now with the awful spate of terrible body swap movies. And those body swap movies that I mentioned, most of them suck. And that's basically it. So, if you got time, check out Prelude to a Kiss. And remember, the next time you go into Jewel, those shelves aren't full. They're empty. And we're all gonna starve.